Recording in progress.
Okay. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. Today we are going to a new topic. Let me share my screen.
Alasan Yemi, you are please mute.
Can hear. So we are going to look at cost theory today. Previously, we looked at issues around production theory. Okay, and today is going
Hello,
to be
Doc.
a new topic. Yes.
Please, can you share your screen? You are still on audio. We can't see you on video.
Can you guys see my screen?
No, please.
Tell me, I can see.
I
you preaching cost
cannot
theory.
see.
I can also see.
The screen has already been shared.
I've
I
shared my
can't
screen.
see.
What can you see?
I'm just seeing Zoom audio, and then
Okay.
I'm trying to, bring it back to video, but no, since you are the one controlling it.
No, I'm not.
I think it is from your end. All of us can see the screen. Cost theory is on the board.
Yes, there is cost theory.
You can leave. You
Okay,
can leave.
yeah.
You can leave
I'm
the class
okay
and
now.
join back again.
I'm
I think.
okay now.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So last week we looked at issues around production. And this week we are going to look at issues around the cost side. Because to be able to produce, okay, you need to incur certain costs to be able to do what? To produce a certain amount of output. So we are going to look at that particular aspect of the cost that firms incur in an attempt to produce their goods and services. Now, there are various costs that firms incur, and one key cost that they do incur is a particular cost that they spend, whether they produce or not. Okay, so various costs, firms incur various costs. Okay, firms incur various costs, and one of those costs that they incur is the fixed cost. So I will call that FC. So the fixed cost, we are looking at a cost firms incur irrespective of whether they produce or not. Let me reduce the irrespective of whether they whether they produce or not. So by fixed cost, it is a cost firms incur irrespective of whether they produce or not. So even if they don't produce any commodity, if they don't produce any products, okay, they will still incur that amount of what? Fixed costs. For instance, whether firms like it or not, they would have to get maybe say land, they would have to get maybe say furniture. Some people will also say rent or whatever. These are fixed costs. So whether a firm or of course machines, to be able to produce a commodity, you need land, you need maybe furniture or building. You also need sometimes if you don't own, then you rent. You also need to get what? The machines. Whether you produce or not, you will still incur what? Cost of machines. Whether you produce or not, you will still pay rent on the production property. Whether you produce or not, you will still finish it. Or whether you produce or not, you will still get what? You will still have to get a land. And all this entails what? Cost. So which means that even if output, okay, is zero, what does that mean? It means the firm has not produced anything. Even if output is zero, fixed cost. Even if output is zero, fixed cost will not be what? Zero. Fixed cost will not be zero. Which means whether the firm likes it or not, they will still incur what? Some amount of what? Fixed cost. In another instance, they also call fixed costs as sunk costs. They also call we can also call fixed costs as what? As sunk what? Costs. Some people also say irreversible what? Irreversible costs. Now, after this fixed cost, we also have another one that we call the variable cost. That we call the variable cost, VC. So for the variable cost, it is the cost that you will incur as you begin to produce. So we are looking at the cost incurred. As firms start production. As firms start production. Which means that these are the costs that you will be incurring if a firm is actually producing. In other words, if a firm is not producing, you don't incur any variable cost. You can think of a variable cost as what? Input cost. You can think of a variable cost as what? As input cost. As input cost. If you don't produce, you don't spend, you don't incur input what? Cost. Even if you have spent some money to buy the inputs, if you don't produce, you don't spend or you don't use that particular what? Input. You don't use that particular input. Okay. So which means that if output is zero, okay, variable cost will also be what? Will also be zero. Because this particular variable cost, they vary with what? Variable cost varies with output. Variable cost varies with what? The variable cost varies with what? With output. So as you begin to produce, then you also tend to incur some amount of what? Variable cost. You also tend to incur some amount of variable cost. Now, when you put these two together, you will get what is called the total what? Cost. You will get what is called the total cost. You will get what is called the total cost. And with the total cost, we are looking at what? The summation of what? Your fixed costs and your what? Your variable costs. We are looking at the summation of your fixed costs and your variable costs. And when you look at the fixed cost, it means that fixed cost here does not vary with output. Does not what? Vary with output. Does not vary with output. Which means that even if output is increasing, fixed cost remains the same, irrespective of the level of output. But for variable costs, as you can see, it varies with what? Output. So as you begin to increase production, okay, your variable costs also tend to do what? To increase. Your variable costs also tend to increase. And so the total cost, we are looking at what? The summation of what? Of your fixed cost and your variable cost, which means we can write our total costs as what? As fixed costs plus variable cost. We can write our total cost as fixed cost plus variable cost. Now let's proceed and look at some few some few other costs. Now, when you look at the first one that we did, which is what? The fixed costs, you may want to know how much fixed cost will you be spending on each level of what? Output. Which means that we are looking at what is called the average what? Fixed cost. We are looking at what is called the average what? Fixed cost. AFC, the average fixed cost, the average fixed cost. So with the average fixed cost, we are looking at what? Fixed cost per level of what? Fixed cost per unit of output. Fixed cost per unit of output. You may want to spread fixed costs, okay, across or among all the different level of output that you are producing. So in that case, your average fixed cost will be equal to your fixed cost all over the output. Your fixed cost all over what? All over the output. Your fixed cost all over the output. Okay. Now, when you look at the average fixed cost, you realize that the denominator is quantity and the numerator is what? Is the fixed cost. And that fixed cost is fixed, but output will keep on what's changing. So later we will delve deeper into this relationship between the average fixed cost and the output. Now we also have the second one that we use, which was what? The average what? The variable cost, the variable cost. You will also want to know how much variable cost you spend per unit of what? Output. And that how much variable cost you spend per unit of output, okay, is what is called the average variable cost. So we also have what is called the average variable cost. The average variable cost. The average variable cost. So the average variable cost, we are also looking at similar to the average fixed cost. It is also what? The variable cost, okay, per unit of what? Per unit of output, which means that the average variable cost is equal to our variable cost divided by what? Divided by output. Divided by output. The fifth one that you should also be aware is what is called the average what cost. It's what is called the average what cost. It's what is called the average cost. It's what is called the average what cost. AC. And the average cost is also looking at what? Your total cost per unit of what? Output. Your total cost per unit of what? Output. Total cost per unit. Your total cost per unit of output, which means that our total, some people also call this as average total, average cost or average total cost is the same thing as what? Average cost. So the average cost will be what? Our total cost, okay, divided by what? Divided by output. Divided by output. Divided by output. Divided by output. You will also know that total cost is equal to what? Our fixed cost plus what? Our variable cost, which means that we can actually put this fixed cost plus variable cost, which is total cost, into this. So you will have the average cost is equal to what? Fixed cost plus what? Variable cost divided by quantity. In this case, you will also have what? Average cost is equal to fixed cost divided by quantity plus variable cost divided by what? Quantity. So here will be what? Average cost is equal to So this gives you what? This gives you the average fixed cost. Plus, this will give you the what? The average variable cost. Which means that average cost, okay, is the same thing as what? Average fixed cost plus average variable cost. Which you know is also the same thing as what? As our total cost all over output. So in a situation where you have average fixed cost and average variable cost, but with no total cost, and you are asked to find average cost, you will know that average cost is the same thing as what? Average fixed cost plus average variable cost. Average cost is the same thing as average fixed cost plus average variable cost. Now, the last and most important cost function that we are going to look at is the marginal cost. Is the marginal cost. Is the marginal cost. And what is the marginal cost? We are looking at what? The additional. We are looking at the additional costs, okay? The additional cost incurred. We are looking at the additional cost incurred to produce just one additional unit, just one additional or extra unit, one additional unit of output. So with the marginal cost, we are looking at the additional costs that you have to incur to produce one additional unit of what? Of output. One additional unit of what? Of output. Which means if you produce a certain amount of output and you want to increase the output, the extra cost that you will incur to be able to produce that 1 unit of extra output is called the what? It's called the marginal what? Cost. It's called the marginal cost, which means that the marginal cost, is the same as what? Change in your total cost all over change in your what? In your output. So we are looking at the marginal cost as what? Change in your total cost all over change in your what? All over change in your output. All over change in your output. So this is the marginal cost. This is the marginal cost. And then later, you will realize that this particular marginal cost is the same thing as, remember, change here means what? D. Change here means D. And change here also means what? D. So later we will tell you that marginal cost is the same thing as what? DTC all over DQ. So later you will be using this. So marginal cost is the same thing as what? DTC all over what? All over, Q. So which means that the total cost that we are looking at, which comprises of what? Fixed cost and marginal fixed cost and what? Variable cost. You can further get additional cost from total cost. You can get the average cost from total cost. You can also get the marginal cost from total what? Cost. So if you have something like this, example, if you have something like this, total cost is equal to 100 plus 2Q. Total cost is equal to 100 plus 2Q. You have two things here. You have this particular side and this particular side. So remember, total cost is equal to what? Fixed cost plus what? Variable cost. Fixed cost is fixed, irrespective of the level of output, which means that fixed cost does not depend on output. Fixed cost does not depend on output. But variable cost is what? It's not fixed. It depends on what? Output, which means that it depends on the number of units that you produce. So fixed cost is the fixed amount that you spend, okay? And variable cost is that variable aspect of what? Of the total cost. Now, if you pick this TC as what? 100 is equal to 100 TC, total cost is equal to 100 plus 2Q. Based on this, you realize that which particular component is your fixed cost. Your fixed cost will be what? The 100. Your fixed cost is the 100 because it is not contingent or it's not conditioned on output. It is fixed. You spend 100 cedis and that is it, which is the one-off spending that you make to set up all your business. But the other side is the what? Is the 2Q. And the 2Q, you realize that we have Q attached to the 2. And because the Q is attached to the 2, it makes this particular component what? The variable component. It makes this particular component the variable component, which means that the cost on this particular aspect is called the what? It's called the variable cost. It's called the variable what? It's called the variable cost. It's called the variable what? Cost. Are we together? It's called the variable cost. So any amount that is standing alone in the total cost function is a what? Is the fixed cost. And all the other side where you will find Q or output attached to them, they are part of the what? They are part of the variable cost. Another example, if I give you this as the total cost, maybe 65 plus 0.7 Q2 plus 0.5 Q. Based on this, which one is the total cost? The total cost is this entire term. Is this entire term. Which one is the fixed cost? Fixed cost will be the what? The 65. And which one will be the variable cost? Here there is Q. So this side, here there is also Q, this side. So which means that our total variable cost, okay, will be this particular side. Will be this particular side. Will be this particular side. Would be this particular side. Are you getting it? Okay. So if you want to find your average cost, remember average cost is total cost divided by output. So you just divide the entire thing by what? By Q. Okay. So maybe let's say 65 plus 0.7 Q square plus 0.5 Q. All over what? All over Q. So this will be the average variable cost, the average fixed cost. So even here, you can further just simplify this as 65Q plus 0.7Q plus 0.5 when you divide, okay? And you can also find the average variable cost. You realize that if this side is the what? If the average variable cost will be what? The variable cost divided by what? Divided by quantity. And which side is the variable cost from the total cost? Remember, we mentioned it is that part that varies with what? Output, which is 0.7 Q square plus 0.5 Q is the what? Is the total variable cost, okay? Which is 0.7 Q square plus 0.5 Q. And we are looking at average variable cost. So you just divide here by what? By Q. So what can you find? Here will be what? 0.7 Q plus. Here will give you what? 0.5. This Q will cancel this Q, and this Q will cancel, leaving 1. So you will find that here will be what? Our average variable cost. What about average total cost? Average fixed cost. Remember, average fixed cost should be what? Fixed cost divided by what? Q. And what is fixed cost from the total cost function? Remember, we said it is what? 65. So it will be 65 divided by what? Q. So this is the average what? Fixed cost. This is the average fixed cost, and this is the average what? Average cost and variable cost. So even from the average cost function, which we said it is what? Average fixed cost plus average variable cost. When you add the two, which is this average fixed cost, which is what? 65 all over Q plus average variable cost. And what is average variable cost? This is average variable cost, which is 0.7 Q plus 0.5. This will give you the average what? Cost. And you realize that that particular average cost is the same thing as what we are getting here using the total cost function. So you realize that this is the same thing as this. So you can see, let me minimize for you to see. This is the same thing as this one. So whether you divide the total cost function by the quantity, or you go with the average fixed cost plus the average variable cost, you are going to get what? The same answer. You are going to get the same answer. Okay, so what about the marginal cost? What about the marginal cost? Remember we said the marginal cost is the same thing as what? Change in total cost all over change in what? Output. Change in total cost all over change in what? Change in output. And we said the marginal cost, which is the same thing as change in total cost all over change in output. Mathematically, we can also refer it to as what? GT C, which is the change in total cost all over change in what? All over change in output. So which means if we have our total cost, remember we had the total cost as 65 plus 0. Where is it? 0 point here, 0.7 Q square plus 0. Where is it? 0.5 Q. Our marginal cost in this case, our marginal cost, okay, in this case would be what? Change in total cost all over change in what? Quantity. Okay, so here the marginal cost would be what? Remember, this is constant, so here will be 0. We are doing the differentiation. Here will be 0. Okay, here will be 0. And then here, which we are going to differentiate with respect to Q. So this 2 will come here. This 2 that we are looking at will come and multiply by what? 0.7. So we are going to have what? 0.14 Q, because we are going to subtract 1 from here. Plus, here, remember here is raising to the power 1. So if you multiply it by 0. If you multiply by 0.5, it's going to be the same 0. It's going to be the same 0.5 Q. Remember here is raised to the power 1 minus 1. This whole thing would be 0. And any number raised to the power 0 is 1. So this Q side would be 1. Okay. So here would be 0. So if we want to further simplify it, it will be this plus 0.5 what? 1. Any number raised to the power 0 is 1. So that is why this is turning into 1. So this is the same thing as 0.14 Q plus 0.15. So this will be our marginal cost. 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 Okay. Now, if you look at the first one that we talked about, which is fixed cost, in terms of the, let's look at the cost curves. Let's look at the cost curves. Now, the first one that we talked about was the what? Was the fixed cost. And
Hello,
we said
Rob.
fixed. Yes.
Please, with regards to the calculation, I think it should be 1.4, not 0.14.
It should be 1.4. Yes, yes, thank
please.
you. Thank you, thank you. Should be 1.4. Okay, that's good. Thank you. Okay, so now in terms of the cost calculation, the cost curves, first we talked about what? Fixed cost. And we said this cost is what? Fixed, irrespective of the level of output. Which means irrespective of what? Q. So if you have this as quantity, here as cost, irrespective of the output, you will still incur some cost. So even if output is 0, you incur what? Some cost. Maybe let's say here If output is 1, you still incur that same cost. If output is 2, you still incur that same cost. If output is 3, you still incur that same cost. So if you plot the curve, you will get something like this. So this is the fixed cost curve. This is the fixed cost curve. So the fixed cost curve is the same thing as what? Perfectly elastic demand, like how you draw it. But this is what? This is the fixed cost curve. So it is fixed irrespective of what? Of the level of what? Output. So if the amount that we are looking at, maybe here is the 100 or 65, is the same thing throughout the level of what? Throughout the level of output. The second one, let me look at the average fixed cost. Remember the average fixed cost, we said it is what? Fixed cost divided by what? Quantity. Which means that you are going to be dividing this fixed cost by the increasing number of what? Output. By the increasing number of output. So if it was 100, then the average, if fixed cost is 100, then average fixed cost maybe at 1 will be what? 100 divided by 1, which will be 100. The average fixed cost, at output is equal to 1. So the average fixed cost at output is equal to 2, will be what? 100 divided by 2, which will be 50. Here will be 100. So if you have something like this, output, here is the cost. Now, if here is 100, when output was 1, maybe you can find it here. Average fixed cost will fall when output increases, because you are dividing fixed cost, which is fixed by increasing denominator. So let's say here would be what? At output 2 is 50. So maybe at output 2 is 50. It's here. If output is equal to 3, then the fixed cost, the average fixed cost will be what? 100 divided by 3, which will be what? 33.33, which can also be 33.33. So you realize that average fixed cost falls as output what? Increases. Average fixed cost what? Falls as output what? Increases. So this is how average fixed cost is. So this is average fixed cost. You will realize that average fixed cost falls as output what? Increases. But that particular average fixed cost curve will never touch the what? The output axis. It will never touch the average the output axis. So please note, average fixed cost. Please note. Please note. Average fixed cost decreases as output what? Average fixed cost decreases. I will ask you this in the exam. Average fixed cost decreases continuously as output what? As output increases. And remember how average fixed cost behaves. It behaves like this. It falls continuously, but it will never touch the what? The quantity axis. And if something falls continuously but does not touch the output axis, we say it's behaving in what shape? Who can tell me and take 5 marks free? The behavior of what? Average fixed cost is what? Okay, who can tell me? It falls continuously as output what? Increases, but will never touch the output axis. But will never touch the output axis. What does that mean? It means that average fixed cost, okay, it means that average fixed cost will never be 0. Will never be 0. Even if you continue, if you have 100 fixed costs, fixed cost as 100, and you produce 1,000, outputs, which means that 100 divided by 1,000, you will get figure. If you produce 10 million output, you will still get a figure, maybe 0.000001, but it will never be what? it will never be zero. So if something is behaving like this, we say average fixed cost. We say average fixed cost is we say average fixed cost is asymptotic. We say average fixed cost is asymptotic. This I will ask you this in the exam. So this is average fixed cost, and average fixed cost is what is asymptotic, because look at it, it decreases as output. It decreases as output what is increasing, but it will never touch the output what axis. Because of that, the behavior of average fixed cost is said to be what? Is said to be asymptotic. Okay. Now, the third one that we are going to look at is the variable cost side. Is the variable cost side. Remember, we said for this variable cost, it varies with what? Output. For this variable cost, it is the cost that varies with output. That varies with what? Output. In this case, our variable cost is equal to 0 if output is also what? 0. So if you pick this quantity cost side, this is how variable cost looks like. This is how variable cost looks like. So if output is 0, variable cost is also what? 0. Variable cost is also 0. Now let's look at the average variable cost. Let's look at the average variable cost. The average variable cost here, I'm not going to demonstrate, but we know it is the cost, the average cost per unit of output. The average variable cost is U-shaped. This is quantity. This is cost. The average variable cost is what is U-shaped. So this is average variable cost. It's U-shaped. It decreases when output is low, and increases when output is what? When output is high. Now let's look at the combination of what? The average, when you look at the combination of the total fixed cost and the variable cost. So the fifth one is what we are looking at as the total cost. And we said it is what? Fixed cost plus variable cost. And we know that fixed cost is this. Is that not it? And the variable cost, we have it like this. Let me just do it well. This one plus quantity. Here is cost. And we know the variable cost is like this. This is the variable cost. This is the variable cost. This is the variable cost. So when you put these two curves together, you are going to get the total cost, and the total cost will be what? And total cost. So let me just write, this is fixed cost, and this is the variable cost. So the total cost will be the combination of the two. So this will be equal to the total cost. Quantity, cost. Remember, fixed cost is here. Fixed cost is here. And variable cost is here. So the variable cost will begin on top of the what? On top of the fixed cost. The variable cost will begin on top of the fixed cost. So this will be the total what? This will not be the so this will be the total cost. This will be the total cost. So you realize that from here to here is the fixed cost. Is the fixed cost. Is the fixed cost. And from here to here is the total cost. which means the variable cost is here. And you can also find it this when we do it this way as that variable. So this will be the variable cost. And the difference between the total cost curve, which is here, the blue line, and the red line, is also the variable cost. It's also the variable cost. So just to make sure you get it more clearer, our total cost curve is given as this. So this is output, this is cost. Our total cost curve is given as this. So know where it starts. So you should know where it starts. You should know where it starts. Okay. Now, the next thing that we are going to look at is the average total cost, which is the same thing as the average cost. Is the average what? Cost, which we are looking at what? The total cost, which we are looking at the total cost all over what? Output. And the average cost is the same thing. It's also U-shape. It's also U-shape. It's also U-shape. It's also U-shape. Now, the marginal cost, this is 5. This will be 6. Here will be 7. The marginal cost, we said it is change in total cost all over change in what? Output. Or the TC all over what? The Q. It's also what? U-shape. It's also what? U-shape like this. So this is marginal cost. It's also U-shape like this. It's also U-shape like this. Now let's bring all these cost curves together, and you see how do we know the relationship? Now, bringing all together, we are going to have this as quantity, this as cost. We are going to have this. So this is the average what? The average cost. This is the average variable cost. This is the average cost. And this will be the marginal what cost. And this will be the marginal cost. And this will be the marginal cost. Please note that the marginal cost curve, as you can see, it is cutting through the minimum point of what? The blue line. And what is the blue line? Average cost. It is also cutting through the minimum point of what? The black line, which is what? The average variable what? Cost. The marginal cost curve is passing through the minimum point of what? Average cost curve and average variable what? Curve. Now let's look at the relationship between marginal cost and average cost. Let's look at the relationship between marginal cost and average cost. Now, when you pick this, as the average cost, then the marginal cost curve will cut it from below. Why? So please note, marginal cost passes through the minimum, passes through the minimum point, passes through the minimum point of what? Average cost curve. Here, marginal cost curve passes through the minimum of what? The minimum point of average what? Cost curve. Passes through the minimum point of average cost curve, as you can see here. So now the big question is, The big question is why? Why? So why does the marginal cost curve passes through the minimum point of average cost curve? So you can know it using just three relationships. As you can see, one, we have this particular side, and we also have this particular side. If you pick this curve, you realize that at that minimum point where it casts the average cost, you can actually divide it into two. One side is here, and the other side is also this side. You realize that on your left, both the marginal cost and average cost curve are falling. As you can see, they are fallen. Here they are fallen. And on your right, you realize that both the marginal cost curve and average cost curve are increasing on our right. What can you say about this relationship? One, if marginal cost and average cost are falling, as you can see on your left, this side, they are both falling. Which one falls faster than the other? Marginal cost falls faster than average cost because you can see it is falling faster. It even lies below it. Okay. If marginal cost and average cost are falling, marginal cost falls faster. Falls faster than what? Average cost. Average cost. And therefore lies what? Below it. And therefore lies below it. And the second part is if, as you can see, if marginal cost and average cost are both what? Increasing, or they are both rising, you will realize that here marginal cost rises faster than average cost, and therefore it lies what? Above it. Above marginal cost. You realize that here, if they are both what? Rising or increasing, marginal cost rises or increases faster than average cost, and therefore lies above it. And therefore lies above it. And the last one, you will also realize that, please note, if average cost is at its minimum, and what is the minimum point of average cost? Is this particular side here. This is the minimum point of what? Average cost. If you have average cost like this, the minimum point is this. So if average cost is at its minimum, you realize that that is where marginal cost is cutting it. So which means that at the minimum of what? Average cost, it is equal to marginal cost. So at minimum of what? If average cost is at minimum, it is equal. It is equal to what? To marginal cost. So you can see it is equal to marginal cost. It's equal to marginal what cost. So if I ask you to explain why or show the reason why marginal cost passes through the minimum point of average cost curve, this is the result, or this is the answer. Okay, one, if both marginal cost and average cost, marginal cost curve passes through the minimum point of average cost curve, because if marginal cost and average cost are both falling, marginal cost falls faster than what? Average cost, and therefore lies below it. And if they are both increasing, you also notice that marginal cost increases faster than average cost, and therefore lies above it. When you combine this relationship, because they are both U-curve, marginal cost will be passing through just the minimum point of what? Average cost curve. Just the minimum point of what? Average cost curve. Any question? Any question before we proceed? Okay. So now let's proceed to market structures. Let's proceed to market structures. I'll finish this topic. finish this topic.
Hello, sir.
Yes. Okay. So now let's proceed to our market structures. And market structure, we are looking at what the combination of what firms or the various types of firms in a market. And here typically the focus is on what the type of market. Okay. So we are going to look at the perfect comparative market. The perfect comparative market. The perfect comparative market. Now, we are looking at the situation where the market is perfectly what comparative, okay? What are the main features of a perfect comparative market? So let's look at the features of a perfect comparative market. Features of what? Perfect. So here I will make it perfect competitive market. So features of perfect comparative market. One, we are looking at a market that has what? Many buyers and many sellers. Many buyers and many sellers. Many buyers and many sellers. Now, a perfect competitive market, a key feature is what? Its ability to have large number of buyers and large number of what? Sellers. So you have a lot of people who are buying a particular product, and you also have a lot of people actually selling that particular what? Product. And later we will show you that perfect competitive market firms or sellers are price takers, because you cannot actually, dictate or set a price. Okay. So for a typical perfect competitive market, it's a situation where you have many buyers, or is characterized by many buyers and many what? Sellers. A second feature, okay, of a perfect competitive market is what? Its ability to have what? Free entry. Free entry and free what? Exit. Now, for this particular market, to enter into that particular market to sell as a firm, the entry should be free, which means that there should be no bottlenecks, or there should be no bottlenecks to entry. There should be no bottlenecks to what? To entry.
Or barriers.
Which means, or barriers. Thank you. There should be no bottlenecks to entry or barriers to what? To entry. The entry should be what? Free, and it should be seamless. There should be no, factors inhibiting a potential, buyer to enter, or a potential seller to also what? Enter. If someone is selling and you find that the business is doing well and you are also interested in selling that same product, you do what? The next day, if you have your capital, you can also enter that particular market to do what? To sell. The next moment, if market is not good and you want to leave, no one should prevent you from leaving. So exit, it should also be what? Free, which means that there should be no bottlenecks to entry, and there should be no bottlenecks to what? To exit. Here again, there should also be no bottlenecks to what? Or barriers to what? To exit. No bottlenecks or barriers. My handwriting is terrible. I wonder how you people see my handwriting.
That is the problem we have.
That's also my problem.
We are managing.
That's also my problem.
Yes,
we are managing.
We are managing this situation.
That's also my problem. Sometimes I just look at it and I pity you people. Maybe I have to start. I have to start getting my.
So it's good to pity us in the exams.
I have to start getting my first copybook and start all over again. That's also my problem. That's also my problem. But you have the past questions, so you should know then how I set my past questions, how I set my questions. I won't ask you to differentiate between fixed cost or value. I won't do those things. Okay. So you have free entry to exit, free entry, and then free what? Exit. Now, the third one that I also want us to look at is a situation where firms, by assumption, is assumed there is no what? Transport costs. There is no transport cost, transport or advertisement cost. I want to just combine those things, or advertisement costs. In other words, firms do not incur any amount on transport, which means that if you have a warehouse that you all buy your goods from that warehouse to your store, there shouldn't be no transportation cost. There should also be no advertising cost, which means that no firm should be advertising the products in order to attract buyers, because buyers are already many and then sellers are also what? Many. So you shouldn't incur any cost. And you know why? If you incur costs on transport, what will you do? You will pass it on to customers. And by passing on to customers, it means your price will be higher. If you also incur advertising costs, it means that you will also pass that extra cost to which people? To the customers. And in that particular case, your price is also going to be what? Relatively higher than other prices. In this particular case, under perfect competitive market, price is what? Is the same. If you don't incur any transport costs, you don't incur any advertising costs, if you don't incur any barriers to entry, no one is taking bribes for you to enter into the market. No one is also taking bribes to allow you to exit the market. In this particular case, under perfect competitive market, when you put all these features together, perfect competitive markets, prices are what? Fixed. So please note, prices are what? Are fixed. Under perfect competitive market. It means that prices are what? The same for all firms selling that same product. And another thing that we are also looking at is homogeneous products. Homogeneous what? Product, which means that you all sell the same product. If you are selling mobile phones, it's the same mobile phone, the same brand, everything is the same. Okay, no one is selling counterfeit. Everything is the same. So because of the homogeneity in the products and because of the absence of transport costs and advertisement costs, coupled with free entry and free exits in the presence of what? Many buyers and sellers, prices are what? Fixed, and all prices are the same. And because of that, we say firms, please note, and because of that, we say firms, and because of that, we say firms in firms in perfect competitive market, please note, are price takers. Please note, as price takers. Are price takers. They are price takers because the market dictates the prices to them. None of the firms in the perfect competitive market set prices. So firms in perfect competitive market are price takers. So let me just add, and not price setters. And not price setters. They don't set prices. And not price setters. You don't set your what? Your price as a firm, and not price setters. And not price setters. So if prices are the same or fixed, it means that if you go to store A to buy one item, you buy it at the same what price. If you go to store B, you buy it at the same price. If you go to store C, you buy it at the same what price. Which means that if here is quantity, here is price, price is fixed. So you have this. What does this tell you? Who can tell me? This is a demand what curve. So the demand curve in a perfectly competitive market.
Our prices are fixed.
It's fixed.
It's fixed, yes. So prices are fixed. So as you can see here, price is here, maybe P1 is the same throughout the quantity distribution. So this is the demand curve for a perfect competitive market. This is a demand curve for a perfect competitive market. For a perfect competitive market. This is the demand curve for a perfect comparative market. So with this one, what can you see? We have price here. And we have what quantity here, maybe irrespective of the quantity, Q1, Q2. So total revenue TR would be what? Price times what? Quantity. Is that not it? Total revenue will be price times what? Quantity. Now we have what is also called the average what? Revenue. We have what is called the average revenue. And the average revenue is AR. And the average revenue is given as what? Our total revenue divided by what? Our total revenue divided by what? Divided by
quantity.
Excellent. Divided by quantity. So if total revenue, please note, if example, if price is 2 and quantity is 1, which means that our total revenue will be what? 2 times what? 1, which will be what? 2. What about average revenue? Average revenue will be what? Total revenue divided by what? Quantity. And total revenue is what? 2 divided by quantity. Quantity is 1. You will get 2. If output is 2, our total revenue will be what? 2 times what? 2, which will be 4. And average revenue will be what? 4 times 4 divided by what? 2, which will be what? 2. Are we together? If average revenue is, if quantity is 3, total revenue will be what? 6. And average revenue will be what? 6 divided by what? Quantity, which is 3. You will get what? 2. Which means that price is the same thing as what? Average revenue. As you can see, price is what? 2. When price was 2, what was average revenue? 2. Is that not it? When price increased to 3, what was average revenue? Was also what? 3. Was also what? 3. So in this case, you realize that average revenue is the same thing as what? As price under perfect comparative markets. Under perfect comparative markets. So if you have this as the demand curve, okay, and this demand curve is the same thing as what? Price, which is the same thing as what? The average what? Revenue, which is the same thing as average what? Revenue. Now, let's look at the third one, which is also very important.
Doc.
The third one.
Hello, Doc.
Yes, I can hear you.
This kind of market, do you have it in Ghana?
Your mic is very low. Your volume.
Market, do you have it in Ghana?
Can you hear him?
He's asking whether this type of market, do we have it in Ghana?
No. It's abstract. There is no perfect comparative market. There is no perfect comparative market. Okay. So the last one that we are looking at is the what? Is the marginal revenue. Is the marginal revenue. Is the marginal what? Revenue. And what is the marginal revenue? Is the same thing as what? The change in total revenue all over change in what? In output, which is the same thing as what? The TR all over what? The Q. The TR all over what? All over the Q. So which means that, yes, so which means that if we have, okay, let's say, let me just do it this way. We have quantity here, we have price here, we have total revenue, we have what? Average revenue, we have what? Marginal revenue. Now, okay, so we have maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. Price. What will be price? Remember, we said price is fixed. So if we say price is fixed, let's say price is 2 throughout. So here will also be true. Here will also be true. Here will also be true. What will be total revenue? Price times quantity. So total revenue will be what? 2. Is that not it? Here will be what? 4. Here will be 6. Here will be what? 8.
8.
What about average? What about average revenue?
Total divided by quantity.
Excellent. So it will be total revenue, which is 2, divided by quantity, which is what? 1. So here will be what? 2.
1.
What about at output 2? It will also be what?
2.
2.
Excellent. 2. What about output 3?
3.
2.
It will also be 2.
3.
Here would also be what? 2. So what about marginal revenue? Remember we said marginal revenue, the additional revenue that you will get when you do what? When you sell 1 extra unit.
Or produce.
So here the marginal revenue, yes. So the additional revenue. So here is the additional revenue. The additional revenue gain. This one, I don't think you will see it. The additional revenue gain from what? Selling
or
1 extra unit of output. Selling 1 extra unit of what?
Output.
Of output. So that is the marginal revenue. So here, our marginal revenue is the change in total revenue all over change in what? Quantity. So the first one is normally 0 because you don't have the other one. So the next one will be what? Output 2. When Q is equal to 2, the marginal revenue will be what? Total revenue 2 minus total revenue 1 all over what? Quantity 2 minus quantity 1. So here the total revenue, Total revenue 2 is what? 4. Is that not it? Welcome, sir. Total revenue
is 4.
Total revenue 2 is what? 4 minus what? Minus 2. This minus this divided by this minus this. So here will be 2 divided by what? 1, which is equal to 2. So here would be what?
2.
2.
I'll go to the next one. 4.
And when you go to the next one, will be what?
4 minus
6 minus 4.
4.
6 minus 4 all over 3 minus
3
2.
Minus 2.
All over 3 minus 2. Here will be what? 2 divided by 1. What will you get? 2.
2.
So here is also 2. And when you do the other one, it will be what?
8 minus
minus what?
6.
6 all over 4 minus what? 3. Here will be 2 divided by 1. You will get what? 2. So here is also 2. So what can you see here? You will realize that in a perfect competitive market, price.
The marginal listing is constant.
Excellent. The price is the same thing as what? Average revenue, which is also the same thing as what?
Marginal revenue.
Marginal revenue. Excellent. Which is the same thing as marginal revenue.
Average and price are the same. So they have relationship there, the 3.
Excellent. So they are related. So when we have something like this.
But when you talk, you allow the lecturer to talk.
This one here is the revenue. Okay, this is the revenue. Remember we said price is fixed. So we have price here. We have price here. We have price here. Remember, this is the same thing as the demand curve, which is the same thing as what? Price being fixed, and that price is the same thing as what? Average revenue. And that average revenue is the same thing as what? Marginal revenue. Which means that for a perfect competitive market, price is the same thing as average revenue, which is the same thing as what? Marginal revenue. Which is the same thing as what? Marginal revenue. Let's proceed. So at what point will they maximize what? Profit. Profit maximization. Profit maximization. Now, please note that firms would also make profits, and they will also make what? Loss. You will know that I'm going to write profit as this. So anywhere you see this, it means profit, pi. And profit is the same thing as what? Total revenue minus what? Total cost. Total revenue minus total cost. Now, for perfect comparative market, if we bring everything together, okay, if we bring the cost side and then the revenue side together, okay, we are going to get an interesting relationship. We are going to get an interesting relationship. Firms in a perfect comparative market, okay, they maximize profit. Please note, firms maximize profit. Firms maximize profit at a point where, okay, the marginal revenue is equal to what? Marginal cost. Please note. The maximize profit maximizing point is that particular point where, this is point. At a point where marginal revenue is equal to what? Marginal what? Cost. And it is that particular point that they maximize, they make what? Profit. Okay. Now let's look at a situation where firms make abnormal profits. Where firms in a perfect competitive market make abnormal profit. Make abnormal profit. We are going to have this. So here it will be our cost, and it will also be the revenue side. Remember, we are bringing the two together. We are bringing the two together. Now, if we have this as the what? Price is the same thing as average revenue. It's the same thing as what? Marginal revenue, which is the same thing as what? Demand. Are we together? We have this as what? Average cost. And we have this as marginal cost. Firms maximize profit at a point where, please note, at a point where marginal revenue is the same as what? Average what? Revenue, which means that they maximize profit at a point where marginal revenue is equal to what? Average revenue, or where marginal revenue is equal to what? Marginal cost, or at a point where the two meet. So when you look at this particular curve, at what point do they meet? This is our marginal cost curve, and this is our marginal revenue. So they meet at this particular point. So this is the profit maximizing point. So what will be the profit maximizing output? You then trace it to hit the quantity axis, maybe Q1. And at that particular Q1, what will be the what? The cost. Here, remember, this side is the revenue side. Remember, this side is the revenue side. So the cost will be there. You trace it to hit the what? The average cost curve. So at this particular level of what? Output Q1, our average cost is here. So this will be the average cost. Remember, here is the same thing as what? Average revenue. P1 is the same thing as average revenue. So this particular thing that we are looking at is the profit. This shaded area. This shaded area is firm's what? Profit. So this particular profit is what is called the what? The abnormal profit. This particular profit is what is called the abnormal profit. Okay, now let's look at a situation where firms make a loss. Where firms make a loss. So in a situation where these perfect comparative markets make a loss, we call that one subnormal. Subnormal profit, or let's just say loss. In a situation where they make a loss. So we will have quantity here. Here is the cost side or revenue. So we have here as what? Demand, which is equal to average revenue, which is equal to marginal revenue, which is the same thing as what? Price. Okay. So here we are going to have our what? Our average cost curve like this. And then we have our marginal cost curve like this. At what point will firms maximize profits? It's at that particular point. Please note, this is always the starting point where marginal revenue is the same thing as what? Marginal cost. So here, where is it? This is our marginal cost, and this is our marginal revenue. So they meet at where? They meet here. At that particular point, what will be the output? Q1. And what will be the cost? What will be the cost? It's here. So this is the average cost. And here will be the average what? Revenue. You realize that in this particular case, the average cost, okay? You realize that average cost here is greater than average what? Revenue. But here, you realize that average cost is less. Here, average cost is less than average revenue. As you can see, this is average cost, which is less than what? Average revenue. So you can see it here. So you are making profit because your cost is less than your revenue. But this side, your cost is greater than your revenue. You can see average cost is greater than average revenue. So the loss would be this side. So this is a situation where firms make what? Loss. So this is loss. So this is the loss part. And you can quantify it. And that loss, that loss, okay, would be the what? The average cost minus average what? Revenue. Minus average revenue. Times quantity. And here, the profits that we are making will be what? Average revenue minus average cost times what? Times quantity, which will give you the value for the shaded area in green. And here will also give you the value for the shaded area in black. The value for the shaded area in black. Now, let's look at a situation where these firms make normal profit. Where they make normal profits. Where they make normal profit. Where they make normal profit. So we have quantity here. We have here as cost or revenue. Okay. Now we have here as our what? Demand, price, average revenue, marginal revenue. And what will be the average cost? The average cost curve will be here. And what will be the marginal cost curve? The marginal cost curve will pass through. The marginal cost curve will pass through here. So this is our marginal cost curve. So what will be the profit maximizing output at a point where marginal cost is equal to what? Marginal revenue. This is always the starting point. So here, what is the marginal cost? It's here. And what is the marginal revenue? It's here. Where do they meet? They meet here. At that point, what is the output? You trace it to hit the output level, Q1. And what is the what? The revenue is this side, average revenue. And what is the average cost? It's also the same. So you realize that the average cost is the same thing as what? Average revenue. And in this case, we say firms make zero profit or they break even. Zero profit or they break even. They make zero profit or they break even, because even with that, you will find that our profit is average revenue minus average cost times what? Q. If average revenue is the same as average cost, this entire region will be zero times any amount of quantity, it will be zero. So they make what? Zero profit. They make zero profit. Please note, firms in a perfect competitive market can make abnormal profit in the short run. So this is short run. Please note, they can make abnormal profit in the short run. Firms can also make a loss, okay? They can also make a loss, or we say subnormal profit. Subnormal profit. They can also make a loss. Please note, also in the short run. Please note. Also in the short run, SR. But firms make zero profit or normal profit in the long run. Please note, firms make perfect comparative firms. Please note, firms in perfect comparative market, okay, make zero or normal profit. Zero or normal profit in the long run. All firms, in fact, let me just put it this way, all firms in perfect competitive market make zero or normal profit, okay, in the long run. In the long run.
Or they break even.
Or they break even in the long run. Now, why? Why will I be making zero profit and still be in business? Why will I be making zero profit or normal profit and still be in business? And still be in business. And still be in business.
Because
okay.
For total revenue is equal to your total cost.
Okay, yes. So why will that be so? Now let's go back to the features. Let's go back to the features. Good. Now the first two will give you the reason why you make normal profit in the long run or zero profit in the long run, because of the existence of many buyers and sellers, and because the market is free, it has free entry and free exit. Note, if you are selling maybe what is the name, pure water. Let's say maybe pure water business is a perfect competitive market. You are selling pure water. And you are making profit in the short run. You are making profit. And every day you are wearing Holland or Woodin, I don't know, or London, I don't know which, or GTP. I don't know which one is of higher quality than the other. Maybe let's say Holland. So as a woman, you are selling pure water and making good profit. So every day or every weekend, you are going to weddings, wearing different types of Holland. Now your colleague women will see you and they say, your business is good. Your business is good. Your business is good. The next moment, they are also selling what? Pure water. So once they come and sell, because entry is free, they just enter and then also start selling, provided they have the capital. Okay. Now, once they enter and sell, they will be eating into the profit or competing away the profit that you are making. And because they have many sellers, people will tend to enter is free. So they tend to invade the market as sellers, because entry is what? Free. As they enter, profit will start what? Falling. So you will no longer be enjoying the profits that you used to enjoy in the short run because of the many sellers and then free entry. People will tend to also sell, so they compete away the profit. And the profit tends to be what? Zero. In fact, some will make a loss, and once they make a loss, and you feel you are no longer making profit, you leave because exit is also what? Free. You leave because exit is also free. So in the long run, no one will be making a loss, because if you are making a loss, you would have left the market long time because of what? Free exit. And because entry is free, if people are making profit, they tend to invite what? Others to join, willingly or unwillingly. Okay. And in the long run, you realize that all of the firms in existence in the perfect competitive market will be making normal what? Profit or zero profit, because those new entry or entrants would have competed away all the abnormal what? Profit. And those who are making a loss would have also exited the market. So in the long run, all firms in a perfect competitive market will not be making abnormal profit, would not also be making subnormal profit, but would be making a normal profit, because of the existence of free entry and then and free exit. Are we getting it? So if I ask you to tell me the reason why, which I will ask you, why firms in a perfect competitive market make, and please note, I'm saying they make zero or normal profit in the long run. So I can ask you, why do firms in a perfect competitive market make the kind of profit that they make in the long run? Why do firms in a perfect competitive market make the kind of profit that they make in the long run? So you should know the kind of profit they make in the long run. What kind of profit do they make in the long run? They make zero or normal profit. And why do they make that kind of profit in the long run? Because of what? Free entry and free exit, and because of the presence of what? Many buyers and what? Many sellers. I will ask you this in the exam. Okay, it's going to be one of the sub questions. It's going to be one of the sub questions. Okay. Now, can we make progress? Let's see. We still have how many minutes left? We still have
10 minutes.
Are you sure it's 10 minutes? Okay. So now let's proceed. Let's look at this past question. I don't know whether I have it here. Okay. Because those are some of the things that you would be finding. Let me see whether it's this one. Okay, so we have this solved. Excellent, excellent. Can you see my screen? Can you see this question?
Yes, please.
Okay. So now let's how do you solve it? How do you solve such a question? Let me see whether we have another one. Okay. So this is a typical perfect competitive market question. And what is it saying? It's saying that Kenny Enterprise, okay, it's a perfect competitive producer selling two products, Falcon 8X and Falcon 8Y. Falcon 8X is sold for 1,000 cedis, while Falcon 8Y is sold for what? For 800 cedis. Kenny's enterprise total cost of producing two products is given by this. So this is the total cost, 2Q square 1 plus and the rest, where Q1 and Q2 represent the output levels of Falcon 8X and Falcon 8Y. 8X is Q1, which is the product, and Falcon 8Y is also a product, which represents what? Q2. Using the information above, answer the following questions. So they are saying we should show that Kenny enterprise profit function is given by what? 1,000 Q1 plus what? 800 Q2 minus this one. So you should find the profit function. The next is find the maximum profit and the values of what? Q1 and Q2 at which this is achieved. 2, is Kenny enterprise operating in the short or the long run? Briefly explain. D, as a perfect competitive firm, what is the profit maximizing condition of what? Of Kenny. So this is a simple question, and we have to answer it. This is a very simple question that we have to answer. So let's see how do we answer this. Let's see how do we answer this. Okay. So I believe you have this question. Is that not it?
Yes, please.
Yes, we have it.
Okay. So let's use this as an example. Okay. So maybe just a question. So here y refer to points 1 and 2 in features of what? Perfect competitive market. Okay. So now let's look at this typical question. And these are some of the things that you'll be finding in the exam. So when you refer to that particular question, it is giving us a total cost question. So let's solve it quickly. A total cost function of what? 2q1 square plus 2q1, 2q2 plus this one. And they are saying what? Falcon, where is it? Falcon 8x is the same thing as what? Q1. And Falcon 8y is the same thing as what? Q2. Okay, but instead of writing Falcon 8y, Falcon 8x, we'll be writing Q1 and then what? And Q2. And they are saying price from the question. Price for P1, which is the good for Falcon what? 8x, is sold at what? 1,000 cedis. So this is 1,000. And price for P2, which is the Falcon, which is the price for Q2 for quantity or output 2, is what? Is 800. It's 800. It's 800. That's good. So the question is that we should show that the Kenneth profit function is given by this equation. So A, which means that we should find a profit function. We should find a profit function. And we know profits, like I mentioned earlier, is the same thing as what? Total revenue minus what? Total cost. Are we together? But the firm has two products. So which means the firm's total revenue will be what? Total revenue from output 1. How much you will get for selling what? Falcon 8x, which is Q1, plus how much you are going to get from selling what? Quantity Q2, which is what? Falcon 8y. Which means that our total revenue 1 is equal to what? Remember, and our total revenue is the same thing as what? Price times what? Times quantity. Which means our total revenue 1, you see I'm just taking my time, will be P1 times what? Q1. And total revenue 2 will be what? P2 times what? Times Q2. So here, our total revenue for 1 will be P1, and P1 is what? 1,000. So it will be what? 1,000 times what? Q1, which is the same thing as what? 1,000 Q1. And total revenue 2 would be what? They say the second one is sold at what? 800.
100.
So here would be what? 800 times Q2. So here would be what? 800 Q2. Which means your total revenue that we are looking at, which is revenue 1, revenue 2, would be what? 1,000 Q1 plus
800 Q2.
800 Q2. So this is the total revenue. So we have this as the total revenue. And we have what? Total cost function as this. Because it's total revenue minus total cost. And this is what? The total cost function. So which means that our profit is the same as what? Total revenue minus what? Total cost. So our profit is the same thing as what? Total revenue minus what? Total cost. Which means our profit will be equal to total revenue, which is what? 100, 1,000
Q1
1,000 Q1 plus
800
That's
Q2.
800
Q2 minus our total cost. And the total cost is what? This whole thing. Are you getting it? Minus, I'm just doing it one after the other. So I've opened brackets. So it will be what? 2Q square 1 plus 2Q1 2Q2 plus Q2 square. Are we together? So let's further simplify it. So our profit would be what? 1,000 Q1 plus 800 Q2 minus, here will be what? 2Q square 1 minus Q this one. So this is the profit function. And they are saying we should show that, where is the question? We should show that, they are saying we should show that, where is it? They are saying we should show that, as you can see, profit is the same as what? The 1,000 Q1 plus 800 Q2 minus what? 2Q1 minus 2Q1 Q2 minus what? Q2, which is the same thing that we have found here. So as shown. So that is all. But in an exam, you don't have to follow this long procedure, okay? So you can just, in an exam, you can just say total revenue is this one, price times quantity, and then jump to this side. Once you jump to that side, you can have your total revenue as this one. And then from here, you can just jump to this side. You don't have to do this one. You don't have to do this one. But you also need to show the profit function. Are we together? You don't have to do this one. So we have solved the second one. And then let's look at this last, the B part. And what is the B part saying? The B part is saying that find the maximum profit and the values of what? Q1 and Q2. Find the maximum profit and the values of what? Q1, Q2, at which this is achieved. So they are asking us to find what? Q1 and Q2, which means at a point where the firm maximizes what? Profits. At a place where the firm maximizes what? Profits. Are we together? Okay, so we have two ways of doing it. So let me just show you the simplest way, okay? So for the simplest way, so this is the B part. Finding Q1 and then what? Q2. That maximizes what? Profit. Please note, they are saying we should find a level that maximizes what? Profit. And remember, I said that firms maximize profit at a level. Please note, firms maximize profit at a level, okay, where marginal revenue is the same as what? Marginal cost. Where marginal revenue is the same as what? As marginal cost. Is the same as what? Marginal cost. So which means that we need to find marginal revenue, we need to find what? Marginal cost and equate the two. So let's find marginal revenue. So finding marginal revenue. You know that our marginal revenue, okay, is the same as what? The total revenue all over what? The quantity. The total revenue all over the quantity. Remember, we have two different quantities. We have quantity 1, quantity 2. So which means that our marginal revenue from quantity 1 would be the DTR1
over the
all
Q1.
over what? Excellent.
The Q1.
Excellent. And our total revenue for 1 was what? Remember, we found it here.
Yes.
1,000 Q1. Is that not it?
Yes, sir.
Excellent.
1,000
So,
Q1.
excellent. So 1,000 Q1. So here, our marginal revenue 1 will be what?
1,000.
Excellent.
Okay. It will be the TR1 over the Q1, which is
So would be
1,000. Which will
excellent.
give you 1,000.
Which will give you 1,000. What is this 1,000? Isn't it the same thing as what? The price, you remember?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You see? So in a perfect competitive market, we just found that we just found that price is the same thing as what?
As the marginal revenue.
And what will be the average revenue? Which will be the total revenue divided by what?
Over the quantity.
So it will be 1,000 Q1 divided by Q1, which will be the same as what? As Q1. Have you seen it?
Yes, sir.
Which is the same thing as 1,000 as the average revenue. So this is the marginal revenue for what? For the first quantity, Q1. So let's look at the second one. Let's look at its marginal cost. So this is for output. What? This is for Q1. So this is for Q1. So we have just finished with the marginal revenue. So let's look at what? The marginal cost. And what is the marginal cost? Change in total cost all over change in what? Quantity. So the marginal cost for Q1 would be what? Change in total cost all over change in what? Q1.
Yeah.
So here too, we can bring what? The Q1, but it's 1, even though we don't have different what? Total cost functions. When you go to the question, they gave total cost function as this one.
Okay.
So total cost is what? Let me just write it here. Total cost is what?
It's
2Q. 2Q what?
2Q.
2Q2. Plus 2Q1. 2Q2 plus Q this one, which is here. Have you seen it? Which is here. Okay. So now let's proceed. So what will be the marginal cost? The marginal cost 1 will be what? Total cost divided by what? DTC all over DQ. So here would be what? Q1. Here is also Q1. So what will be the marginal cost? These 2 will come here. So it will be what?
It will be 4Q.
4Q1 plus
1 plus
2Q.
2Q2. Yes.
Is that not it?
Yes, sir.
That is it. Good. So this is what we have here. So remember, we are saying what? At the profit maximizing function, a condition, marginal revenue is the same as what?
Marginal cost.
Marginal cost. We have marginal revenue as what? 1,000, and marginal cost as what?
At 4Q1 plus 2Q2.
Excellent. So when you equate the 2, we are going to have
4Q1.
1,000. It's okay. Let's do 4Q1. Is that not it?
Yeah, 4Q plus 2Q2
is equal to what?
Equals to
1,000. So this, we can say this is equation what? 1. So now let's look at the second one for output 2. We repeat the same process. So we look for the what? The marginal revenue, and we also look for what? The marginal what cost.
Yes.
So what will be the marginal revenue for 2 is the same thing as what? The TR2 all over what? The Q2.
The Q2.
Is that not it?
Which will be equals to 800.
So, and what is the total revenue for this one? It was 800 what? Q2. It was 800 Q2. So the marginal revenue will be what?
800.
Excellent. The marginal revenue would be 800. So we have to look for which one again? The marginal cost. So the marginal cost for 2 would be what? Is that not it?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So we are going to have this one is the same thing as what? Where the total cost function is here. So we are going to differentiate this total cost function with respect to what? Q2. Q2. Okay, that's excellent. So let me just write the total cost function so that we can see. So the total cost function would be what? What is the total cost function? 2Q1.
1 raised to power 2 plus
2Q1
Q2
plus
Q2 raised to
the okay, that is it, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So our marginal cost for the second one will be what?
It will be
for where we have
it will be
it will be what?
Q2
2Q what?
plus 2Q2.
2Q what?
It will be 2Q1 plus Q square.
2Q2.
Okay, plus 2Q, sorry.
Excellent. Excellent. Are we getting it? So
yes, sir.
You see, it is simple. So in this case, we are going to equate our what? Marginal cost and marginal revenue. So we are going to equate
2Q1 plus 2Q2.
Marginal cost is equal to what? Marginal revenue. So we are going to have what?
2Q plus 2Q2 equals
2Q1. Yes.
Please, why not? We should do it. Marginal revenue 2 is equal to marginal cost 2, so that maybe to differentiate this one from the first one that we equated it.
Yeah.
Marginal revenue 1 is equal to
marginal revenue.
No, 2. Okay.
2.
Okay.
No, here.
Here is
marginal is equal to marginal revenue.
So here we are also going to equate. Where is it? Marginal revenue. Where did we equate it? Here.
Yeah.
1.
Yes. Okay.
So here will be equal to what?
800.
800. So this will be equation what? 2. So here let's have equation 1 and equation 2. Equation 1 is what? 4Q. Have equation 1. 4Q1 is what? Plus
2Q is equals to 1.
It's equal to 1,000. And the other one is what?
2Q1 plus 2Q2 is equal to 800.
It's equal to 800.
So this is the equation 1 and this is equation 2. So we solve simultaneously.
Elimination method.
Excellent. Elimination. So what do we do? It's simple.
We multiply
equation what?
Of
equation 1 minus what?
Equation
2. So we are going to have what? 4Q1 minus 2Q1 will give us what?
2Q1. We give it 2Q1.
It's equal to, here will be 0. So here will be what?
0. It will be 200.
200. So we divide here by 2, divide here by 2. So this will cancel this.
Q1 is
Q1 is equal to 100.
Q1 is equal to 100. So what about Q2? So we can put it in any function, right? So
Yes.
let's say
Yes. Hello?
Q1, which is equal to 100.
Doc.
Yes, into equation 2. Yes.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Please, the equation, the 200, I didn't get how you got the 200.
It's here. We are subtracting equation 2 from equation 1.
2Q1 equals 200.
Please, the talking is becoming too much. That's why we can't hear.
We are deducting equation 2 from equation 1 using elimination method. Okay. So it's 4Q1 minus this one 2 minus this, and this one 2 minus this. So this 4Q1 minus 2Q1, it will give us what? Will give us 2Q1. 2Q2 minus 2Q2 will give us 0. And then 1000 minus what? 800 is this 200. So we have 2Q. Yeah. So if you divide, so that is why we have it.
Look, I also have a question.
Thank you.
Yes, please go ahead.
The marginal cost 2, how we got the 2Q1 plus 2Q2 from the total cost function?
Here.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So we know the marginal cost is the same thing as what? The total cost all over what? The quantity 2. That is for the second quantity, right? So we are looking at the total cost function here. The total cost function here. And our consideration is on Q2. So we look for where we have Q2 and then to make sure the differentiation applies to it. Here, do we have Q2 here in the first one? No. So here we will not differentiate with respect to Q2 because here if you do it, it will give you 0. Here we have our Q2 here. Any number raised to standing alone means it's raising to the power 1. So there's 1 here. So that particular 1 will come here. So we are going to have what? This 2, that 1 here. And we have what? Q1, and we have what? Our Q2. Remember here it's raised to the power 1. Here it's also raised to the power 1. But because we are differentiating with respect to Q2, we have to deduct 1 here. Are we together? Plus, here is raised to the power 2. So this 2 will also come here. So we have that 2 here. We have Q2. This 2 is also here. And because we are differentiating, we will deduct what? 1 from here. So here will give us what? 2 Q1. Any number raised to the power 1 minus 1 here will give us 0. So it will be Q2 what? Raised to the power 0 plus 2Q2. 2 minus 1 will give us what? 1. So here will be 2Q1, Q2. Because it's raising to the power 0, any number raised to the power 0 is 1. So this 2Q, this Q2 raised to the power 0 will become 1. So this whole thing will become 1. So we will not have here again. It will become 1. And any number times 1 is that number. Any number times 1 is that number. So plus 2. Any number raised to the power, remember here is 1. Any number raised to the power 1 is that number. Okay. Here I'm not saying any number raised to the power 0 is 1. And any number times 1 is that number. So that's why we have the standing alone here. But in this particular case, we have raised to the power 1. So any number raised to the power 1 is that number. So we will have the same 2Q here. So this will give us the what? The marginal cost for quantity 2. And that is what we got here and equated to the marginal revenue. Is it clear now?
Yes, please.
Excellent. So
Doc, thank you for explaining that point. That was my difficulties too.
Thank you. So we have this as output 1, and we are looking for the next one, which is output 2. So we put the Q1 into any of the equations, either equation 1 or equation 2. So we are just assuming we put it in equation what? 2. So equation 2 is what? Where is equation 2? 2q1. Equation 2 is 2q1 plus 2q2 is equal to 800. Where is it? Yes, it's here, equation 2, which is also here. Are we together? Okay. So, but Q1 is what? 100. So we are going to have 2, this one, plus 2Q2 is equal to 800. So here will give us 200 plus 2Q2 is equal to 800. So here will be what? When we group like terms, we are going to have what? 2Q2 is equal to 800 minus what? 200. So here will give us what? 2Q2 is equal to 600. 600. We divide here by 2, divide here by 2. This will cancel this. So Q2 will be what?
300.
300. So therefore, the output level that would maximize profit for that firm is output 100 for which commodity? Falcom 8X and output what? 300 for the second commodity. But that is not the end. Remember, the question is saying that find the maximum profit and the values of what? Q1 and Q2 at which this is achieved. You can't find a profit without finding the what? The quantities. So we just found the quantities. Q1 is what? 100 and Q2 is what? 300. So we need to find the maximum profit. And we have the profit function. Even from the question, the profit function is given in A, as you can see. 1000 Q1, 800 Q2, and the rest. So what do? We put the values for Q1 and Q2 into the profit function and solve it. Okay. So finding profit. Who is saying final profit? So we put Q1 and Q2 into the what? Into the profit function in A above.
Sir,
In
you
A above.
promise to make it clear for us to see, please.
So it's here. So put Q1, Q2 into profit function in A above. And what is the profit function in A? Our profit function is given as 1000 Q1 plus 800 Q2 minus who can let me look
Q1 raised to the power 2.
Okay, 2Q1
raised to the power 2 plus minus 2Q1 Q2 plus
minus it's
Q2
minus. Please
yeah
note
minus
Okay, but we have what? Q1 is what? 100 and Q2 is 300. So we put them there. So which means the profit would be what? 1000 Q
times 100
will be 1000.
100
plus 800
times 300
plus minus 2
times
100 square
100 square
minus 2
times 100 times 100
minus 300 square. I don't know what you will get. So that value is the profit.
It's a bigger number.
So that value is profit. So the value you will get is the profit. So that is the answer. Are we together?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is so this is the B part that we have solved. So that value you will get is the profit. So that value is the profit the firm will be making. So that is the profit the firm will be making. Okay, so let's look at the other part. So this is the B part. So you do this for 9 marks. So the C part is saying, is Kenny Enterprise operating in the short run or in the long run? Briefly explain. Remember, what type of firm is Kenny market is firm selling in? Perpetual competitive market. Okay. And when you work out this, please note, when you work out this particular profit that you are going to get, the value will be greater than 0. Is that not it?
Prof.
Yes.
Doc.
Yes.
The figure I'm getting is 260,000.
260,000. Excellent. Thank you.
260,000. Oh, yeah.
260,000. So you realize that this particular profit, 260,000, is greater than 0. Is that not it? Which means the firm is making what type of profit here? They are making abnormal profit. They are making abnormal profit. And when do they make abnormal profit?
In the short run.
Have you seen? When do they make abnormal profit? They make abnormal profit in the what? In the short run. Excellent. So Kenny is operating in the short run. Why? Because they are making abnormal profit. Because profit is what? Profit is what? Greater than this particular profit is greater than 0. But if they were also making a loss, it would have also been in which what time period? In the short run. In the short run. Yes.
No. Please. So with regards to this question, one, are you going to illustrate it with a type of the profit diagram, like the abnormal profits?
No, you don't have to draw unless I ask you to draw.
Okay.
You don't have to draw unless I ask you to draw. So what type of profits are they making? They are making what? Abnormal profit. And when do firms make abnormal profit? They only make abnormal profit in
the short run.
Excellent. In the short run, they make abnormal profit in the short run. So from the question, you should be able to know when they make what? When they make abnormal profits. Are you getting it? Now, so here they make they are operating in what? In the short run. Because why? Because they are making profits, abnormal profit of 260. The D part is saying, as a perfect comparative firm, what is the profit maximizing condition of Kenny? What is the profit maximizing condition of Kenny? This is what we've always been doing. So the D part, so profit maximizing what? Condition. What is it? Marginal revenue is equal to what? Marginal cost. That is it. So that's all. So the D part, you just write, yes.
Please again, in this case, we've had the marginal revenue. We have marginal revenue 1, marginal revenue 2, marginal cost 1, marginal cost 2. Or you are just going to do it MR is equal to MC just to satisfy that condition.
Yes, irrespective of the output, your profit maximizing condition is to target the marginal revenue to be equal to what? The marginal cost.
Okay.
So you just write MR is equal to MC and take 1 mark.
Okay.
So that is all. I can also ask you, so at what point should this particular firm shut down their operation? At what point should the firm shut down their operation? So please note, shut down or cease operating. So shut down rule. Firms, please note, firms should shut down. Please note. Firms should shut down or cease production. Firms should shut down or cease production or cease or stop producing and leave the market if, please note, if the price that they sell, okay, for their product is not able to cover their average variable costs. I will ask you this in the exam. At what point should the firm stop production? So they should stop producing if their average variable cost is more than their what? The price. It's more than the price. So which means if we have something like this, and quantity, if we have something like this quantity, here is cost and then revenue side. Here is cost, revenue, okay? Now, if we have this as our average, what is the name? Average variable cost. And we have this as average what? Cost. We have this as marginal what? Cost. We can have this as average what? Fixed cost. When should firms shut down? What is the minimum of what? Average cost curve? Average variable cost curve. Remember, for firms to shut down, we are looking at what? If the amount that you are charging, please note, you shut down if the price that you are selling, okay, it's less than your average variable cost. And you know variable cost per unit of what? The variable cost per unit of output, it increases with output, okay? And you can perceive the variable cost as the input cost. So if the amount that you are selling for your product is not even able to cover the input cost, then you have to shut down. Okay. So firms should shut down if the price is less than the average variable cost. Okay. So what is the minimum of the average variable cost? It's here. This is the minimum of what? The average variable cost. So here. So at this particular price, average variable cost is minimum. Which means that you as a firm should never sell your product below this particular price, P1. Because at this particular price, below P1, what is going to happen? If price is below P1, let's say P2.
You are running at loss.
At this particular, you are running at loss. Oh, yeah. At this particular price, yes, you are running at loss because the average variable cost here is now more than the price. So or it's now even more than the average revenue. Remember, the average revenue is the same thing as what? The price, which is the same thing as the what? The marginal revenue, which is the same thing as what? Your demand curve. So in this particular case, please note, your price is not even able to cover the average variable costs. So firms should never, or they should stop production if price falls below what? P1. So stop production if price is less than what? It's less than P1 from this diagram. Because at that particular point, your average variable cost will be more than what? Will be more than the price. So the shutdown rule is firms should stop production and leave the market if the price that they are getting is less than the average variable cost. It's less than the average variable cost. It's less than the average variable cost. Any question? Someone is saying the answer is rather 1,700. So go and solve it. I don't know which one is it.
Today I enjoyed the lecture, though.
Because today we didn't do mass. We didn't do alpha beta.
Anything
like
beta
And the
is
video,
beta.
if it can be uploaded as soon as possible.
Yeah,
yes,
I
so that
always do, yeah.
we can go through.
Yeah, any question before we end the class? So let me see, based on this past question, there is also another one that you need to know. You can solve this one. You can also solve this one. So when you look at the B part, with the aid of a well-labeled diagrams, explain the short and long-run profit maximizing situation of firms in a perfect competitive market. You remember those three equations, those three diagrams?
Yes, sir.
So that is those three diagrams. So that is what I've asked here that they should draw. And the last part is, why do firms in a perfect competitive market make the kind of profit they make in the long run? I asked them, remember, in the long run, what do they make?
Which you said.
They make
in the
zero
long run, they make zero profit or normal profit.
Normal loss.
When you say subnormal profit, I'll give you zero. They make what? Normal profit or zero profit in the long run. And why?
Yes.
Because of what? Free entry and free what? Exit.
Exit.
And then this particular question to question 5, you should be able to also solve this question. I think we've done this. We've done this. And this will be part of, I will send you the assignments today, and you will have to, this is also part of it. Reading a budget credibility. So we've done this one. So let me see whether we have some other past questions. Okay. This reader is always giving me problems. They want me to buy and okay, skip video. Oh,
Hello. Hello.
okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Doc.
Okay, so you can have something. No, this one should have been in PDF. Okay, this one should have been in PDF. Okay, so I will send you a different past question for you to try your hands on, and I believe you should be fine. Let me see whether we've solved this question. Okay, yeah. So yes, so this is the question that we solved today. So look at this. D part is saying what?
Well, the average fixed cost curve asymptotic shape, marginal cost.
No. You are reading it wrongly. While the average fixed cost curve is asymptotically shaped, marginal cost and average cost are both U-shaped, as we saw, with some unique relationships. Stage 2 linkages between marginal cost and average cost. Remember, I gave you 3 linkages.
Yes.
And this question is asking you to state just 2.
Yeah.
Just 2 of them. Yeah. So you state
Only 1 mark for that one.
Marginal cost
only 1 mark. Yeah. So 1 relationship for half a mark.
Okay.
And here we've not done the utility, but you should be able to do this. So this particular question too, we've done it, and I can ask you it. Wunam Limited has recently set up a new plant in Tamale, and we are saying the company faces a typical Douglas production function and a budget constraint. The CEO is concerned about the interrelationships among the input elasticities, the units of production inputs, okay, and their respective input prices. Show that the product of the ratios of the input elasticities and that of the production input is units if the input prices are homogeneous. Remember, we did this.
Yes, sir.
And so something that you guys weren't happy about. So you will have, and we've also done this one. So you should be fine. But like I mentioned, please constantly practice what we've been doing. and also pay attention to the things that we've been solving in class. I will not bring anything that we have not done. Like we've not done utility theory, so I won't bring any question on utility theory. So next week we will continue. I think we will do the macro side of it, and we were doing GDP, inflation, and the rest, as well as issues on the fiscal policy. And when government gives you a budget, how do you read the budget to assess its credibility? And this will come in the exam. So this is what we are going to do in the next two lectures. Any question? In the absence of any question, we will end the class. Yes.
Doctor, please, the areas that you said you repeat for us to go through.
And this notes, they are in the books. They are in the book that I gave you. But I would for the purpose of those who joined late, I would give you the specific pages as well.
Okay, doctor. Thank you.
Yeah. But please, I always load my questions, so most likely you will not finish. So you have to try to practice so that you'll be familiar with some of the things, and you need to know some key shortcuts in the exam. So I load the questions, and if you are going to write my paper, you need to go with Gibidol and painkillers, because you will write a lot.
Doc,
Okay.
It looks like you are threatening us little by little.
No, I'm not. I'm just letting you know so that you don't collapse. You know, your seniors, after the end of semester exam.
He's just telling you to.
Okay,
so please,
Doc,
just,
please can you give us some of the key areas that we can prepare with? Some of the key areas that the questions will be coming from.
Okay, no problem. But you should also bear the fact that during lectures, I also mentioned those key areas that will be coming.
Yes,
should they have given you like 3 or 4 areas that will be coming?
Doc, at least for those of us who joined later.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
Okay, thank you.
Doc.
Doc, thank you very much.
You are welcome. So we will. I will send, as usual. I will send the notes to you, and the recorded version will also be sent to you. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, and let's meet next week. All the best.
We are grateful. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.